My name is Scott Blackwell. Welcome everybody to CookShow.ca. Today what we're going to be doing is I'm going to show everybody how to make a homemade Italian dressing from scratch. Over on the right hand side here that you can't see, I've got all my ingredients laid out already. So we're going to be mixing those together. I'm going to show you how to core tomato properly, how to cut an onion, and how to design a bit of a cucumber to make it look all fancy for your salad. Before we get started, thank you to KootenaiRestaurants.com for sponsoring today's show. KootenaiRestaurants.com, if you go on there you'll find a list of a bunch of different restaurants all from around the Kootenays, menus, a bunch of different stuff. So thank you very much, KootenaiRestaurants.com, and let's get started right away. So what we have over on the side here is I've got a bowl, and as you can see I have a whole bunch of different types of ingredients here. So what I've done is I've sort of pre-laid out and weighed and measured all my stuff. So I'm going to start off here. We have a number of different dry ingredients, and then I have my sort of wet ingredients over on the side. I also have some garlic chopped up on the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys the ingredients and stuff that go along inside the recipe. I'm going to sort of tell you what goes on here. And these bowls, these two bowls here, what I have is I have a mixture. I have about a total of about a third a cup of oregano and basil mixed together, which is actually Italian seasoning. But I'm not going to be using that today. So if you don't have Italian seasoning, then just then you want to use a third of a cup, and use a little bit, about half a basil, and you want to use about a half of, I'll just move the bowl over, you want to use about a half of oregano. It's really kind of sort of, the reason why I add all my dry ingredients first is so that when I start putting in my vinegars and stuff like that, I can stir it all in rather than adding it over to a liquid. I find it works a little bit better there. So I've just added now about a tablespoon of pepper. I'm now adding a teaspoon of salt. Now you can use a balsamic vinegar. I'm going to use a red wine vinegar today because I'm using some onions and tomatoes and cucumbers. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and dump that in, and I've also got some olive oil. Okay, so that's about about 3/4 of a cup of red wine vinegar, and about 3/4 of a cup, about the same as of olive oil. I don't really suggest using a different type of oil. And I'm also going to add about a quarter of a cup of white vinegar. You don't have to. Like I said, you can always replace the red wine with balsamic. It's just a flavor preference. You can use and or either. Right here in this bowl, I've got about a teaspoon of mustard, and I also have about, so let's move this over so you guys can see a little bit better, and I also have about a tablespoon of mayonnaise. The reason why I'm using both is that this two ingredients here stops the oil and the vinegar from separating kind of once it's mixed up. Now, sometimes you might want to use, like, it depends on the quality of the oil and the vinegar and stuff that you're using, is that, you know, the density and whatnot. You might want to use a little bit more of those ingredients. Here I have about 2 cloves of garlic. Okay, so I've already cut this up, and what I've done is I've left one half of a garlic here. So I'm going to show everybody how I cut garlic. I don't do it the traditional way like everybody else does, where you crush the garlic and then chop it up. I'm not really for that. I like to be pretty precise in what I'm doing all the time here. So I like things to look good. I don't like it to just be smashed up and thrown in a bowl. So there, we've added all our ingredients here. I'm just going to take the camera and I'm going to just sort of bring it down onto the cutting board here. Okay, so I have about a half a cucumber. Okay, so I've already cut the other cucumber up, and I've put it in the bowl right now. Now this is sort of this is a very easy thing that you can do, where if you just drag the fork down along the cucumber and you bring it down, what I'm doing is I'm actually putting lines in the cucumber, and I'm going to show you what happens after. Is that, so we've lined our cucumber. Okay, so I'm just going to put the cucumber down here, and then I'm going to cut it in half, straight down the center. And what you want to do is you want to sort of lay this cucumber, okay, so that, and you want to cut it on an angle. And I'm going to show you what happens after, is that you're going to get not only a cucumber that doesn't look like it's just been cut up, which is traditionally what most people do. What I've got is I've got a beautiful design too as well. If you sort of, I don't know if you guys can see this. If you look on the cucumber, it's got lines and whatnot in it, and some of them end up looking up a little bit better than the others, and they all look. But it's kind of a nice thing to do, and people notice that. So I'm just going to throw that in my bowl over here with the rest of my cucumbers. Okay, and we're going to cut this one up too as well. We're going to put that in here, this bowl. So over here I've also got a tomato. Now a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll cut the top of the tomato off. Well, you know, there's you just carefully, you don't cut yourself, I guess. You practice with maybe a knife that's not so sharp, but sometimes a dull knife is, you know, the easiest thing to cut yourself with too as well. So as you can see, we have the top of the core of the tomato right here. And what I want to do is I just want to put my thumb so it's almost right to the top of the tomato. And I just want to put it on here, and I just want to sort of take the tomato and whisk it around here. So just spin it around. And as you can see, what I've done is I just pop the core out. And then how I like to cut tomatoes is I like to do them straight down the side. Then I find that you have the tomatoes like this, and then I cut it this way again, and then I cut it this way again. That way it's sort of consistent with what you're doing, so you have all your tomatoes and they're all cut the same, right? So we'll just cut this up and go on to the onion and throw this all in my bowl over here. I got a salad going on here, so. So the same thing with the onion, is very basic. I mean, you can cut an onion the way you guys want, or however you like it or prefer or whatever. I like to have thin strips. I find that I'm not really one for a big heavy slab onion in my salad or anything like that. You know, it's pretty, you know. So we're just gonna throw that back over in my bowl. I'll let you guys look and see what I got going on here. Okay, so inside here I've got a number of different types of ingredients that I've already sort of pre-sliced, so you guys don't have to watch me cut all the vegetables up. Now what we're going to do is that I'll show you how to cut this garlic. Now, like I said, I don't smash garlic like most people and take it out of the shell. I like to peel it, or I find if you sort of squish it, what'll end up happening is you break it from the shell, so now it doesn't fit the shell anymore. And then you can take it out, and then what I like to do is I like to just cut the garlic in half and then cut lines down the side of it, like down the center of it. And now, as you can see, I'm slicing the garlic, and you can cut it as thin as you like. You don't have to sit there and chop for hours or whatever. All your garlic's now all the same size. So we're gonna just add that in our bowl there with the rest of the ingredients that we have. Okay. What I'm gonna do is that now that we have our Italian dressing, as you can see, it's all inside here. I'm gonna try to maybe get my camera so that it's too bad that I have to edit my own video right now, but try to get some height on this and maybe zoom in so you guys can sort of see what goes on. Like I said, I will apologize that for my own video editing here, but that's the best I can do. I'm just going to whisk this up. You want to make sure you whisk it really well, because it's kind of sort of important that the mayonnaise and the mustard breaks down inside the thing. Sometimes you don't. I like to use a lot of spice. You can cut down if you don't really like basil or oregano or whatnot, then you can cut it down. But like I said, I like there to be a lot of flavor. If you also find that your dressing is separating, if you add just like a tiny little bit more mayonnaise and mustard, the mayonnaise and mustard is not really there to be a flavor in it. It's just sort of there to hold the whole structure of everything together. So we're just going to keep mixing. Now, as you can see, that we have what seems to be a fairly stable dressing. Whether the oil will separate or not, but I don't know. Sometimes it's time only tells, but I'm going to zoom in on it. You guys can have a closer look. I don't know how blurred that up is. Maybe we'll just back out here. Thank you everybody for your patience and the fact that I'm just starting my videos up here. And so we have a dressing here. It looks like it's going to separate just a tiny little bit. It looks like the oil is separating a little bit. So perhaps in this dressing I might want to add some more mayonnaise. At this time I'm not going to do that right now. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to grab a bowl. I'm going to show you what I like to do with my salad. So we're just going to move our Italian dressing over. And then I'm going to lay out, this is fresh lettuce from the garden. Okay, so we're going to lay out some lettuce inside this bowl here. Back out. Once again, sorry guys for my editing, but it's the best I can do. We'll put our lettuce in here. You might want to tear it up, or I got some pretty heavy chunks in here right now, or you can cut it up or whatever. This is straight out of the garden, so it's really fresh. So grab my bowl that I have all my different stuff. Now you can lay your salad out any way you want, any which way you think it might look the nicest. I guess there's not really any particular way to do this. I'm going to try to make it look somewhat fancy or whatnot, but and maybe even sometimes you want to put maybe put a little bit of olive or something in, maybe in the center. I don't have any right now with me opened up today, but might be something to think about. So I'm just going to take a scoop of my dressing here, and the way that you want to do this is just, you know, maybe just dump it all on top. It's quite a bit of dressing. It's a very bold tasting dressing. Like I said, if you're not a fan of so much spices, then, you know, cut down and do whatever you want to do there. It's a very vulnerable, versatile dressing. So once again, this is CookShow.ca, and this is officially, I guess, my very first attempt to make the best video that I can do. Hopefully they'll get better. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Please tune in again. I'm going to try to get a video on here, like I said, maybe a couple times a week anyways, but thanks for joining me, and I will see you again next show.